Joining the show today is Colorado's first transfer of the 2025 cycle. Let's dive in.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in and making me your first listen of the day. Joining me today with a very nice chain, might I add, is Carter Miller, a transfer from ULM, and he was actually Colorado's first transfer of this cycle. Carter, I appreciate you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about it. Your journey is an interesting one, right? You start off as Tennessee native. Love Tennessee, by the way. Was just there a couple months ago.
Actually, I'm from Texas, and I moved my senior year to Nashville for my dad's work. Dad's boss helped us get out here, and I did my senior year here. And then my O-line coach at Ravenwood High School in Nashville, where I went, his brother was the GA at JMU, and so they kind of put that together. Yes,
okay,
sir.
My apologies. So
no, you're good. You're good.
A Texas transplant, if you will, in Tennessee. Both places are great. I've been to both in the past few months. Let's talk about why Colorado. Obviously, the biggest, I would say, thing that Colorado's been trying to fix over the past couple of years of the Deion Sanders era is the offensive line. So you obviously know what they need. They had a hashtag this past year. I think it was DT2, which was like don't touch two. Obviously, Shador is no longer going to be there, but you have to protect Caden Salter and Julian Lewis. So what stood out to you about Colorado?
The biggest thing when I was there on my visit was my meeting with Coach Lodeholt. We played Auburn this year, late season. We watched that game, and just the way he was able to just coach me and critique me and help me get better in that short 45-hour-long meeting of watching film, it was just that between that and the opportunity at Colorado, you're around greats, you're around guys that can help you succeed in life, not just football, but in life. And so I couldn't pass up that opportunity.
Let's talk about that moment with Coach Lodeholt because he seems like a very nice yet intense guy. So does his coaching style attract you? Like, is his coaching style something you prefer where it's like he could be chill with you one moment, but the other moment he's going to rip you because you weren't pulling right or something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, for sure. I like that. I like tough coaching, That's how I was growing up. My dad was my coach, and so it was the same kind of deal, that tough love. But I was a big fan of it, and just the knowledge he knows from being in the league for so long and like succeed and thrive. Not just I was on a team, but like he was like one of the best tackles in the league at the time. And then so for the knowledge that he knows, we're watching film and just the technique things he's telling me, we're standing up, walking through stuff. Like it was just a no-brainer. Like how much better the ceiling is so high with him as a coach. I feel like.
Yeah, I think he definitely brought a new energy that the Colorado Buffaloes needed this past season. What was his biggest critique of you, if you don't mind me asking? What was the thing where he's like, "We're going to fix this immediately"?
Pass pro, setting a zero. Pass pro, just different stuff, different things. When setting a zero.
Okay, I feel like the pass pro is like probably the hardest part for you guys because obviously you're just hoping and waiting for the quarterback to throw the ball where they're run blocking. You're like, okay, I just get to run forward and run someone over. I feel like that's probably the favorite, I'd imagine. When you visited Colorado, what was like three things that stood out to you? Like obviously there's it could be the stadium, it could be whatever. What were the three things that stood out to you and we're like, okay, after this visit, I know?
I mean, like I said, the first one was the meeting with Coach Lodeholt. That was the biggest thing for me because I'm not a super flashy guy. I'm not really into all the hype stuff. I just kind of like see what it is. And so the meeting with Coach Lodeholt was great. That was awesome. And then really next after that, him, the assistant line coach, Coach Gunner, we were sitting in there and just talking football and just drawing up plays. We went through their O-line manual, just the expectations and like how they hold their O-lineman to a certain standard there. And that really attracted me. I like how every day there's a grading system. Every day there's something to call you out, to see if you were really going hard, if you're really working on something. So I was a big fan of that. And then I will say the stadium was pretty sweet. Coming from ULM and JMU before that, seeing the P5 stadium and walking around in it, it's different. At ULM, you got 1,000 people at a game, and they're just walking around and seeing it and visiting it. It was really cool.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have to worry about empty stadiums in Boulder because they're going to be absolutely packed to the brim. And realistically, the very first time I went to Boulder, I hadn't known that Colorado was a college town, right? Like I wasn't oblivious to that. But when you go to like every restaurant, it's like everyone's got a Colorado helmet, everyone's got a Colorado jersey. Like the
Awesome.
community really is like entrenched in Colorado football, which is like cool. And then obviously with Deion Sanders, who we'll get to in a second here, with him at the helm, like the growth and the brand has grown for Colorado. So obviously they have nationwide. So let's talk about the Deion Sanders effect, if you will. Like, what is it like for you getting to play for an NFL Hall of Famer? Well, there's multiple Hall of Famers on the coaching staff, but the NFL Hall of Famer
Yep.
on the staff.
I mean, Coach Prime's a great leader and a great mentor, and I mean, like you said, his effect is unbelievable. I mean, he's got the whole world tuned into Colorado, and he knows what he's talking about. He's going to get us where we need to go. But I mean, you get to play in front of the whole world. I mean, with him as your coach, and that's a great opportunity as well. That opportunity that his effect offers, but also Coach Prime's just football knowledge. Like he'll just help you get better and put you around people that'll help you get better. So it's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to be like, I feel like there's always that thing where when you're around better players, you get better by default because you have to keep up or you have to hit that next level. And so, did you get a chance to talk to Coach Prime in detail? Okay, what was something you took away from that conversation? Because I talked with Zach Atkins, your future teammate and possible. He said that he was surprised, or not surprised, but he was pleasantly surprised, we'll call it, with how personable Coach Prime was. What was your biggest takeaway from the conversation?
Super personal, super down to earth, and just at the end of the day, at all these programs, it's all the same thing. It's all about working hard and just keeping your mind in the right spot, focusing on the right things. And he made that very clear, like what the standard was at Colorado, but very, very down to earth. You know, we actually played him. My high school team, one of them in Texas, played him. We talked about that. Just the man, very, very personable, very, very down to earth guy. Yes, sir.
So you got to play him in high school? Is that
Yes,
I lost you for a second?
Yep. So when he coached at, oh man, it was my freshman year of high school. It was like Texas Christian Cedar Hill, something like that. And I was at All Saints and we played them my freshman year. It was, they beat us. It was a lot too little, but it was just cool memory we were talking about. Yeah.
Were the high school games packed for Cedar Hill or for Coach Prime?
We played on like an old dirt field. It was like they just threw that game together. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. They had to shoot off the cattle before kickoff.
Something like that. Yes, sir.
They're like, there's a cow at the 50. We need it out. In terms of Deion Sanders and Colorado, they've obviously embraced. I don't see them as villains, but I think college football has painted them as villains. Is that something that they addressed where it's like you're going to get attention, good or bad, when you come here?
I mean, they told us on the visit, they're like, cameras around all the time, but I think it's just a team full of the right kind of guys. And so you don't, like, maybe media's painted everybody out to be the villain with Colorado, but that's really not the case. They told us their cameras around, but just act right, do the right thing. Come here to play football, come here to get your degree, do all the right things. And so it's not really a big problem.
Okay, cool. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, me and Carter are going to be talking about his journey from Texas/Tennessee to James Madison, ULM, and Boulder. We're going to talk about everything, what he learned, what moment it clicked for him, and more. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a message from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Rocket Money. And let me tell you about Rocket Money. It's one of my favorite apps and places to use because they help you with subscriptions that you don't need or you forgot about. Let me throw up the little graphic here so that way everyone knows. Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't realize I was paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. I was subscribed to a newspaper that I read once for like a project in senior year of high school, and all of a sudden it was just charging me every month, and I didn't know until I had Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you could grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. So for me, one of the best features, like I said, is a subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with a Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Okay, it's me and Carter Miller. Carter, let's walk through the career arc. You started in Texas, right? So Texas football, it's bigger, it's better. I think as a California guy, I'll contest. I'll say it's all like they're both pretty good. I think we could agree. But let's talk about your freshman through junior year, right? Were you late bloomer? Were you just hadn't clicked yet? Were you finding a position? Let's talk about it.
So I was a D lineman and a linebacker my whole life. And then my sophomore year, I moved to O-line when I moved to Aledo High School in West Fort Worth, and then played tackle there. And I'm not a D1 tackle. I'm not that tall. And so I played tackle my sophomore year, and then my junior year, I actually moved in the middle of the season to Nashville. And then I tore my meniscus. So I only played in maybe 5 games in a scrimmage that year.
Okay.
And then moved to Tennessee and had a good senior year and got most of my offers then. Went to JMU and redshirted my first year, and then started 8 games my second year. Played 9 or 10. Played 9 or 10, but anyway, started 8 and then hit the portal, just looking for an opportunity to play center. That was my goal at JMU. I was recruited as a center, brought in as a center, but obviously played left guard for those 8 games. And went to ULM, started this year at center, and I felt like I could play at a higher level after playing Texas and Auburn, and had a good year, so hit the portal, and then found my way to Colorado.
Okay, so you got to play for Coach Signetti, right, at JMU. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask a question about him. What do you think the biggest difference between him and Coach Prime will be? Because I feel like they're both very polarizing, but very different.
Definitely the relationship with the players. I think Coach Prime shows that he has a great relationship for his players. He cares about them. Not that Coach Signetti doesn't, but Coach Signetti's a very businessman. He's going to watch a lot of film. He's going to study all this and that. I think Coach Prime he spends more time with the kids and has a good relationship with them.
Got you. Coach Signetti, though, he burst on the scene. Were you shocked at all that he kind of like took over college football? No.
Honestly, I wasn't. When I saw all the guys that went with him to Indiana, guys he was getting, I knew it was coming.
When he threw out the Google me, I was like, oh, Kurt, okay. I was like, maybe I will Google you. Yeah. Okay, so you're in the portal and you end up talking to Colorado. Were there other schools that came after you? Like what set Colorado apart from these schools too?
So I had just of schools that I was planning on taking visits to, stuff like that. I took a visit to Memphis, obviously Colorado, and then I was going to go to Michigan State, UCLA, UCF, Mississippi State. I canceled that one. I'm trying to think. Oh, North Carolina called me actually, and Ole Miss hit me up the day I committed actually.
Okay. So the thing, because obviously those are all big programs. You got Bill Belichick, Billy B over there. You got Memphis is one of the better group of 5 teams. Yes, what was the thing that just Colorado was like, you were like, okay, this is, I can't. Was it like a feeling, or was it just like a conversation you had with your family? Like, what was it?
It's funny, as we just got done talking about Coach Prime, we were in there, and I would just tell him how grateful I am. I'm ready to get to work. Thanks for taking a chance on me. And he said, this isn't a chance, this is an opportunity. He was like, a chance, like when we don't know what you can really do, an opportunity is whenever you're going to come here and you're going to help us, we're going to help you.
Ooh, I like that.
So, yeah, I mean, when you hear that from Coach Prime, it's just.
Yeah. Okay. So
opportunity was one of the biggest things. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that, like, hearing everybody's Coach Prime stories, because he always sounds, in every story I hear from him, like I've never heard him say the same message twice. It feels like that message was tailored to Carter Miller. Like that, he's not taking a chance on Carter Miller. He's giving Carter Miller an opportunity to come in here, make an impact. Because obviously the offensive line, I think outside of left tackle, which is where Mr. Jordan Seaton resides, I think every spot is up for grabs, and they need reinforcements at everywhere. And they need toughness, they need grit, they need someone who's willing to come in and grind right away. And so you seem like you're that guy, and we'll obviously see. Let's talk about your recruitment now in the portal compared to high school, because I think sometimes there's a big difference, right? Like sometimes I'm looking at your 24/7, and this isn't to put Carter on blast or anything.
Yeah.
He had 12 offers, which is obviously very good. 12 more than I had. 12 offers, likes of James Madison, Air Force, Arkansas State, Army, Eastern Kentucky. And then you hop in the portal, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, the SEC's calling, the Big 12's calling, the Big 10's calling. So talk about the difference and like what was the most shocking thing to you?
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy when December 9th came, and like kind of like you're saying, like in high school, I mean, I wasn't the most heavily sought after guy. Had a couple group of 5 offers, couple FCS, like you said, and then even last time in the portal, you know, had majority just Sunbelt offers, couple Conference USAs come from JMU to ULM, and this time it was crazy when December 9th came, and Colorado called me, and I was like, wow, like it was really surreal. And then the next one came, whatever, but it was surreal.
Was the phone blowing up to the point where you were overwhelmed?
Yes, sir, for sure. Yes, I was like, wow, I just had to sit it down.
You're like, everyone, please leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like it's like when you're in group text and like someone says something, everyone's just going crazy. It's like, okay, let's dial it back. I got 100 messages.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question on your journey to Boulder. You took, obviously the visit was the key to you. I feel like for Colorado was the deciding factor. What was your favorite part of your journey? Like from Texas to Tennessee to now, like what has been your favorite part?
That's a tough one. I would say probably my 2 years at JMU.
Okay.
I learned a lot about college football there. I learned a lot about what it really takes to be great and put the work. And I learned how to deal with a lot of people hating on you, you know, because I mean, like you said earlier, I wasn't the most heavily sought after recruit. A lot of guys are like, oh, da da da, just had stuff to say, and so I learned how to just take adversity, take all those things, learn college football, put in work. I feel like I developed and grew the most in those 2 years. So
Okay, cool. And then I actually lied. I have one more final question, but this is gonna be a thinker too. So be ready. When was the moment it clicked for you on the field, right? When was the moment that it clicked you were a center, and when was the moment where it like clicked where you're like, my technique is here?
I would probably say the first game that I had to play in at James Madison.
Okay.
Because you know, it's one thing whenever you take those early trash time snaps of your career, and not that they're bad. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to play in those games as a young guy, but
Yeah,
it's not the same as playing in the last 2 minutes of a game when you're up or down by 40 versus you're in it. And I would say we played Utah State at JMU, and the first play of the game, I was a 6-man. The first play of the game, the right tackle towards Patella, and I had to go in at left guard. Our left guard was our swing guy, so he went to right tackle.
gotcha.
I went to left guard, and I would say then after that game, I graded out as our highest O lineman, and I was just like, man, I can do this. Like just because I'm young, whatever, it doesn't matter. I can play. So I would say,
Would you say part of you just kind of wanted to see it for yourself? Like you knew you were good, but like you wanted to see yourself do it in live action because obviously it's different from practice and stuff.
yes, sir, 100%. Yeah,
That's,
yeah, 100%.
that's an awesome moment because I think what better way than being thrown into the fire, right? Like what better way to learn like if you're ready or not? Like here we go.
Road just thrown in. It was cool.
That's awesome. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna come and talk. We're gonna predict the future, Carter. We're gonna get out of a crystal ball and talk about the future.
Let's do it.
This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown. Derrick Henry always feels like the obvious one. I think I went Caleb Williams on Thursday, and there wasn't a touchdown scored in that game. That was a doozy. So I go with a guy like Derrick Henry, maybe a guy like Josh Allen to rush for a touchdown, Lamar Jackson as well. All those guys are good picks. You just have to pick which player will score a touchdown, and you can win some money. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back. It's me and Carter Miller. Carter's a center, interior offensive lineman. He does it all. He could play a little bit of everything. But Carter, what was your role, or what was your projected role when you talked to Coach Phil Lodeholt?
Just come in and compete.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So when you say compete at center, obviously, and for those at home, there's a couple guys who played this year. I don't think Colorado got everything they wanted from this offense line. So what is something that you're hoping to bring to the table that you think they could use?
Just nasty. I think
Mm.
a lot of times where you kind of got to set the tone for the game. That's what I was always told by my dad growing up, was set the tone. And I think there's a lot of times where they need to set the tone, just be physical, just be nasty, aggressive, stuff like that. And more technically sound sometimes. Not that great technique, they're working it all the time, but I mean, there's always room for improvement. And so I try to look at those little bitty details and perfect those.
Gotcha. Let's talk about the guy that you're going, or possibly the guys that you're going to be protecting the most, the quarterback. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is NFL bound, probably going to go in the top 5. So they bring in a 5-star in Julian Lewis, and then they also bring in Caden Salter, the Liberty transfer. Have you crossed paths with either of those guys yet?
So I played K-Salt in high school at Elite.
Okay.
I played against
big state. I feel like you played everyone.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No of them. I don't know them super well, but I know of them.
Okay.
And then Juju. I mean, they're both just great options. They're both great quarterbacks, and so we'll see what happens. But
gotcha. Okay, so in terms of building up this offensive line, I think one of the things, and this is me from the outside looking in, so feel free to tell me shut up if you think I'm wrong. I feel like the best way an offensive line can help out a quarterback, young or even experienced, is to establish a run game. And I feel like Colorado, it was a little bit better this year, but I think they would like it to be a little bit more. So as an offensive lineman, talk to us NARPs, if you will. If how to enhance the run game if it's something that's been struggling.
I mean, obviously some of it's personnel. Like, you got to go get the guys that can do it. Part of it's scheme. You gotta be able to keep D-line defenses on their toes. So, I mean, I feel like they run a very, very diverse run scheme. I think some of the personnel, but I mean, a lot of times when you have 4 great receivers and then Shedeur at quarterback, I mean, you're gonna let it rip. You're gonna throw it a lot, and so, and that proved to be very successful for him this year. And so, I think that's part of it. But I think overall in the run game, you got to have the right people just being nasty, but you got to have smart players. Like, you got to have it all works. You got to have running backs that run on their end point, set up the linebackers for the O-line to get to the right double teams. You got to be smart. You got to set things up, help everybody out. But I think most overall, you just got to be nasty. Like, you just got to be physical, be an athlete, and just move that guy against his will.
And no holding.
No holding.
No holding ever. Gotta wear. Have you ever thought of? I think it was Julian Edelman who did this. He'd wear the color of the gloves or the gloves that are like of the other team. So say they're in red, you bust out the red gloves, or if they're in white, you have the white gloves. Have you considered doing? Well, you're a center, so do you go glove or no glove?
I just tape up my knuckles. I go no glove.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the tape. The tape feels gritty. The tape feels it's got a good look to it. Okay. If you were to tell Colorado fans what they're getting from you, or like say you were pitching yourselves to the coaching staff, they're like, give me a Shark Tank pitch on what you bring to the table. What would you say that you're bringing to the table here?
I mean, I'm an older guy. I got a lot of snaps under my belt now at 2 different positions, so I bring a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge about the game. I feel like I'm very smart, knowing all 5 positions really, and just being able to make the calls at center and lead an offense. And I pride myself on my work ethic, working hard, doing all the little things. I'm not the biggest guy. I wasn't the most heavily sought after, but I've been slept on like my whole life. And so I'm just going to work hard and be gritty, be nasty. So that's what they can expect.
Awesome. And then last question before we move on. What are you most excited about when you get to Boulder and finally get things going?
Yeah. Compete. I love competition, and I love the guys they brought in. They're just going to help make me better. And I'm really excited to like grow with the O-line unit, have a good family. That's one of the closest units on any good football team is the O-line. So I'm excited to grow those relationships and then just get better.
The O-line, is that just a squad? Like, you guys are just always together 24/7?
Yeah, nice. The O-line's a tight group.
Okay, that's awesome. Carter, I appreciate you for joining us. Tell the people where they could find you. Obviously, you're going to be more into the Boulder scene here pretty quick. So tell the people where they could find you, social media,
Yep.
what things you like to do for fun, I guess.
Uh, yes, sir. So I actually am a tattoo artist on the side. I do a little.
Oh,
Yes, sir. And then all my social medias are Carter Miller TBE, so y'all can find me there.
okay. And then I'm going to ask a tattoo related question now.
Okay, let's
I
go.
have no tattoos. I
Yep.
would like one. I'm eyeing like the upper thigh a little bit, like right under where the shorts would be,
Yep.
But I don't know what I want. So is that a problem?
It's gonna hurt on the upper thigh at first. I'm not gonna
Is
lie.
it?
Upper thigh is gonna hurt.
Well, shoot.
Yes,
I will soldier through, but what do I do if I don't know what I want? Do I just wait for something to come to me, or do I ask the artist? That
I,
feels weird. That feels risky.
I would, because I started getting them at 15, so I started pretty young, and I
Okay.
look back now, and I don't regret them, but I wish I could have done something different here and there. So I
Yeah.
would wait till you know like exactly what you want.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So he's gonna protect the quarterback, probably push over a linebacker. He's gonna give you a nice little ink on the forearm, possibly after the
Yes,
game
sir.
as well. He could
Yeah.
do it all. This is Carter Miller. I appreciate you for joining us. This has been Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Become an everydayer, like, subscribe, and follow. And I will see you guys on Monday. We're going to be talking about all things Alamo Bowl because obviously that's going to be an exciting game to watch. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope all of you have a great weekend.